So I really want to thank the very talented team at AACR that made that video possible, and really worked extremely hard to have it ready to show you today. And I'll echo Raju's comment about the conference at Harvard next month. I think it's the best personalized medicine conference in the field, and we're very grateful to him for being the driving force for the conference and for being such a global pioneer in personalized medicine. So thank you, Raju. Now it's my pleasure to join you in welcoming Mr. John Castellani, the President and Chief Executive Officer of the Pharmaceutical Research and Manufacturers of America. Mr. Castellani leads pharma's work to preserve and strengthen a healthcare and economic environment that fosters medical innovation, new drug discovery, and access to life-saving medicines, as we've seen through the eyes of two patients today. So pharma has been a great partner and supporter of the Turning the Tide Against Cancer initiative from its inception 3 years ago, and we appreciate his organizations and the entire industries and his personal commitment to working together to advance solutions to continue that innovation. This initiative has consistently identified, and you heard it again this morning, the development of evidence on the value of new cancer treatments as being of the utmost importance. But measuring that value is also notoriously difficult, so we think new methods are going to be required. So we've asked Mr. Castellani to talk with us today about what the biopharmaceutical industry is doing in this regard. John.
Thank you, Marcia. Good afternoon. I have this strange sensation I'm just boarding a Southwest flight on the way to somewhere. The way this room is set up, and I was the last person on. Although I don't think they're 6x6 just quite yet. It's coming. You know, the stories of patients like both Deb and Salika that we've seen remind us why we're all here and why we're all doing this. We're all working to accelerate the discovery of better cancer tests and treatments to indeed, as this great meeting says, turn the tide against cancer. Progress for patients, and it struck me in both the Salika's talk and in Deb's video. It's measured in things like a trip to London, a graduation ceremony, a birth of a child, or a birth of a grandchild. And progress doesn't come easy, but it's often through steps and a series of steps where the gains add up to longer and better lives. And the progress can only come through shared commitment and collaboration by all of us in this oncology ecosystem. So I am very proud to be part of the work, and indeed we're very proud to support this conference and the work that is being done by Turning the Tide Against Cancer. And we will continue to do that until we can end stories like the one you just saw with the words, "My cancer was cured." You know, at the same time, we're also in the midst of a vigorous discussion right now about the value and the cost of cancer treatments. And as we address these important topics, we need to keep patients in mind, as Salika told us at lunch and as we saw from Deb. Every patient should have access to effective treatments no matter where the patient is and no matter what they can afford. No patient with cancer should have to worry about how much it should cost out of their own pocket. As recognized in the issue brief that's been released by Turning the Tide leaders, it's important to move beyond the narrow upfront costs to a more holistic and patient-centric discussion of the value of new medicines and medical technologies. And as highlighted in AACR's recent report, the science behind new cancer treatments is extremely hard. It's incredibly costly, and as we know, it takes a long time. So while some of those cancer medicines are expensive, particularly those targeted therapies that are designed to meet the unique needs of individual patients, in return, these medicines yield a tremendous value for patients and for society overall. You know the statistics. In large part due to these medicines, the death rate in cancer has dropped by 20% since 1991 in the United States. And we have seen very significant improvements in survival rates for breast cancer, prostate cancer, colon cancer, and for lung cancer. What is difficult to understand is that these gains are achieved at one patient at a time. And that's why last week we launched a campaign that is called I'm Not Average. And it highlights patients who have beaten the odds and had lived beyond the average life expectancy for their treatments. So I hope you will take a look at it on our website. And as you know, the full understanding of the value of the medicine really only emerges after a long time after it's introduced. So while the FDA may approve a medicine that will, quote, only extend life for a period of time, additional testing over time often reveals that these medicines provide much greater value than the estimated time at their initial approval. We need to recognize the many dimensions of the costs that matter to patients, including, as Salika pointed out, the cost that they bear directly, not only through their deductibles and their cost sharing, but that they have to be able to access those treatments. A diagnosis of like cancer is why patients have insurance. It is to cover the cost of treatments if and when a patient gets ill or develops a life-altering disease. Yet out-of-pocket costs set by insurers are often beyond what a patient can afford. Now, we have a reason to be optimistic about the future of cancer treatment. Just this week, we at PhRMA issued a report which found that there are nearly 800 medicines and vaccines for cancer that are currently in clinical trials or awaiting approval at the FDA. And as we celebrated this tremendous progress that has been made in improving the treatment for cancer patients, we also must ensure that patients have the ability to access these treatments. The Turning the Tide initiative is tackling many of these difficult challenges, and as I said, we are proud to sponsor this initiative, and we are committed to working with leaders across the oncology community to develop evidence that we need about the value of new treatments, the tests, and the services that can improve the life of cancer patients. So this is a nice opportunity to highlight one of the examples of where we are actually putting our commitment into practice. Today, I'm very pleased to announce grants from the PhRMA Foundation to support new research measuring the benefits of cancer treatment innovation and the value that advances bring to cancer patients. We have two recipients of these grants with us. The first is Dr. James Yu, an assistant professor of therapeutic radiology at Yale University. His research will examine the population-level benefits of modern treatments for patients with breast, prostate, and lung cancer using the National Cancer Institute's SEER database. His study will examine how, as new therapies are introduced, patients' quality of life changes in step with changing survival times. Dr. Yu, could you please stand and be recognized? Thank you. The other grant was awarded to Dr. Jennifer Lund, an assistant professor of the Department of Epidemiology at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. Her research will examine the comparative benefits and risks of colon cancer treatment among patients who have other comorbid conditions and at varying stages of the disease, and how the disease has progressed. The research will look beyond traditional survival measures to provide insight on personalized approaches to treating these devastating diseases. Dr. Lund, would you please stand? It goes without saying, so I will say it. We very much look forward to both of your research projects and the results and reviewing them as soon as we can. These grants are just one example of our commitment to work with organizations like yours to build a strong oncology research infrastructure and support evidence-based decision-making. We are also working with the Patient Center Outcomes Research Institute, PCORI, to support the development of PCORNet, which will be a comprehensive network of clinical and patient-generated data gathered in real time and with real-world settings. A strong clinical data infrastructure will help patient-centered outcomes research. It will also help advance clinical research in the development of new therapeutics for our patients and personalized medicine. So emerging research tools like PhRMA can complement and build on the clinical research our companies are developing in support of FDA approval of new cancer medicines. And we're very proud to be represented on the PhRMA Steering Committee by Dr. Bill Chin, who leads pharma science and regulatory affairs work for us at PhRMA. Bill, thank you. We're also committed to expanding the evidence base by advancing the use of a broad range of outcomes in clinical trials from genetic and other biomarkers and patient-reported outcome measures. And this is being reflected in projects like LungMap. You heard an excellent update from Roy Herbst about it. It's exciting and it's a novel approach to clinical trials. However, we need to be sure that we have a regulatory framework that can keep up with this very rapid and evolving science. Also, I'd like to point out Project DataSphere, and that's a collaborative sharing initiative in which life science companies, hospitals, and research organizations have contributed and compare de-identified oncology patient data. To date, data from over 9,000 patients has been collected. These data will generate important new insights into disease progression and accelerate more efficient development of innovative treatments. Dr. Khaled Abdallah, who is the Chief Project DataSphere Officer, is here with us. Dr. Abdallah, if you're still in the room, I was here earlier, but be sure to stop and see him. And we also have the Biomarkers Consortium, which is combining resources to scale and accelerate research that enables personalized medicines. We are proud to have catalyzed this public-private partnership along with the Foundation for NIH, FDA, and others. And we're already made some important findings in breast cancer, lung cancer, and lymphoma. Deb and Salika, as so many others, remind us to keep them at the center. This morning, the panel that was moderated by Tony Coelho and many others around this room really talked about fostering greater patient focus. We also may need to make sure that we align the regulatory and payment policy to support more rapid progress against cancer and to reflect better the emerging science and the data infrastructure. The issue brief released this week by this initiative gives us a roadmap for progress. The issue brief, the range of organizations that have participated in developing it, really demonstrate the value of shared commitment and collaboration. And I, for one, and with my colleagues at PhRMA, look forward to our continued work together. So congratulations and thank you.